So, again, I will tell you the rules of this introduction activity after the first person goes. But you want to be first. So, who wants to be first? No one? Really? Seriously, after I tell you what the rules are, you'll wish you went first. No volunteer. All you have to do is talk, or we'll even make it easy. 15 seconds. Introduce yourself. Try. Alright. So just stand up. You'll have 15 seconds to introduce yourself. So I need to be standing over here. Are you ready? Alright, go. Good. Alright. So here's now the rule of the activity. Whatever people talk about before you cannot talk about. So we had our first person go. She talked about her being a senior, right? So her school, her major, and talked about swimming after school. That means that everyone who goes after her, you cannot talk about any of these things. You cannot tell us what school you go to. You cannot tell us your major. You cannot tell us what kind of exercise you do. All right? Next.
Me.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
15 seconds. Go.
My name is Johnny. I'm from Taiwan. I like to listen music, and I have one sister in my home. Yeah.
Alright, good enough. Alright, so now, next people cannot talk about school, major, exercise, their hometown, music, or their family. Who wants to go next? Everyone has to go, it only gets worse. Next, volunteer. It's 15 seconds. That's it. No one has ever died in 15 seconds. Embarrassed me. If you don't choose, I will let Johnny choose you. Johnny, right?
Yeah.
Any volunteers? No. Alright, Johnny, you can choose anyone you want.
Oh.
She just came in, that's not fair. She doesn't even know what we're doing.
真的没人要。先讲先赢。
It gets worse. Alright. Ready? 15 seconds. Go.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I'm from Indonesia. I play violins and piano. I love coffee. And I work as a barista as a part-time job in Indonesia.
Alright. Alright, so now, subsequent people cannot talk about any kind of part-time job or any kind of instruments they might play. Alright, for those of you who just walked in, here's the activity. Each person must introduce themselves in 15 seconds. Sounds easy. But what happens is anything people talked about before before you, you cannot talk about anymore. So, the first, only 3 people have gone. And 3 people have talked about their school, their major, what kind of exercise they do, their hometown music, their family, part-time jobs or jobs, and instruments they play. That means everyone after them cannot talk about this. Right? You must think of something new to introduce about yourself. So, unlike most activities in your life, you want to go earlier. The earlier you go, the more you can say. The later you go, the harder it is. So, who wants to go next? Alright.
Hello, my name is Ignorita. I can call me Emily, and I'm interested in arts, and I love crafting, paintings, and everything in arts.
Art is what you study, or art is your hobby?
Hobby, only hobby.
So, you may no longer talk about your hobbies. Next. It only gets worse, people. Otherwise, I'll let her choose someone. Volunteer 15 seconds. Alright, can you choose one of your classmates, please? Actually, you've been looking at me. Do you want to go? You can try. Alright.
Hello everyone, my name is Steven, and my interest is go to other country, travel, and do volunteer. Like this summer holiday, I go to Myanmar to volunteer, and we go to there and make friends and teach their children some English and Chinese word, and I very enjoy that when I do a volunteer.
Alright, you're good. So, Stephen?
Yep.
Stephen talked about travel and volunteer work. Can't talk about this anymore. Next. Otherwise, I will let Stephen choose. It's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. Alright, Stephen, you can choose something. They're all looking away like they don't know you. You can do it this way. Stephen, choose a number between 20 and 30. Just point, they have to go.
Let's go.
This side. Alright. Go for it.
My major is tourism, major master, and I like video. I like to play the video game.
Play video games. Alright. Gotta start the timer. Video games. Still a lot to talk about. Next volunteer. Class is exceptionally quiet. Alright, you can choose anyone you want. 15, 1, 5. Who is number 15? There's no one 15. Choose a number between 20 and 30. 25 would be over here. silently get away. Alright, you can choose anyone you want. Alright, choose a number between, say, 16 and 30. 30. Alright, who was 30? There's no one at 30, sorry. Try again. Actually, 16 and 35. 35. Aha, 35 is here. You introduce yourself in 15 seconds and not talk about anything there.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamie, and in my free time I like traveling and do some sports.
Also, one more thing. We already talked about exercise. Anything else about it? No other ideas? Okay, you can sit down. Go with one more person. See if we can get through. Alright, any last minute volunteers? Everyone's pretending there is no class. So sad. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Sandy and my major is finance, and I love to watch the movie in my free time, and my favorite actress is Jennifer Lawrence.
There's a lot of stuff we can talk about. No one has mentioned if they have a boyfriend or girlfriend yet. That always comes up every semester. No one has mentioned their favorite kinds of things to buy. No one has talked about their future dreams. No one has talked about, what they're going to do next year. Quick question. Why do we do this activity? Why am I having you, college students, introduce yourself, even though you probably had to do that starting in elementary school? Why would we do this? Because I enjoy being very mean. I like people just to talk about themselves so I don't have to talk. Yeah. Alright. Question. How many people, after they graduate, want to get a job? No one? No one wants to make money after you graduate? Like, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to move home, I'm going to eat mom and dad's food and do nothing until I'm 80. Alright. How many people want to go to graduate school, get a master's or PhD after they leave? Alright. When you go get a job, we'll just start there. When you get a job, how many people want the same job you want? Yeah, a lot. A whole lot. Alright. How many of you want to get a job that you only make 150 NT per hour forever? How many people want to get a job where they can make more than 100,000 NT every month? No one's that ambitious. Like, no, I'll take 20,000 every month. It's fine. The better of the job you want, the better of the grad school you want to go to, the harder it gets. Here is the #1 place most people have trouble. When they interview, when you create your resume, when you try and get the job, every single person's introduction will be the same. Okay? If you show up to a job interview, I'll give you an example. On average, to become a flight attendant in one of Taiwan's 2 major airlines, EVA or China Air, take a guess how many people show up to get a job? Yeah. Between 5,000 to 10,000 people show up to one interview. And typically these airlines will take less than 20 people. Alright? The purpose behind that is if 10,000 people show up, even if 1,000 people show up for the job you want, how are you going to make yourself sound different? How are you going to make yourself sound interesting over 1,000 other people? And again, that goes back to this. If 1,000 other people do a job interview and give a resume, and all of them talk about this, what school did I go to? What major did I have? I like to travel. What hometown am I from? Who's going to remember? As a job interviewer, do I have to remember 1,000 people's hometown? Is remembering 1,000 people's hometown important to me? No. Alright. Recently, my company has been hiring, and we've been going through 104, we went through LinkedIn, we went through a huge number of different HR platforms to try and find someone. And to be honest, it's really hard. Because no one's resume on 104 is remotely interesting. It's none of it. It's not something I want to spend hours and hours looking at someone to interview. And then when I bring someone in to interview, they usually give me this basic self-introduction. It doesn't help my company. It doesn't help me. So, what I want to work on with you today is thinking about how to introduce yourself, how to talk about yourself in a way that A, someone will remember you. Not as a number on a resume, not by what school or major you had. Someone will walk away remembering who you are. Right? This is the first step in getting over it. The second thing that I want to talk to you about today is how to change your perspective. Okay? When you do a self-introduction, the most important thing about a self-introduction is not you. Alright, I'll repeat that because it sounds weird. The most important thing about a self-introduction is not you. What's most important is what the person across from you wants to hear. This doesn't mean lie, this doesn't mean make something up. It means that if you go to a company, they're not looking for why you are amazing. They're looking for why you can help their company. What can you do for them? Okay? Same for a graduate school. A graduate school is not looking for the best studious student in the world. They're looking for someone who will add to their school, who will bring something to make their school look better, someone to bring their school awards, prestige, or something that makes them feel you are more interesting than all the other students trying to come. Okay? What they think, what they want, is infinitely more important than what you think is important. Okay? There's a way to do this. going to briefly take you through the process that my company takes people. We've done this for individuals trying to get job promotions. We've done this for entrepreneurs and startups trying to raise millions of US dollars. We've done this for companies trying to go to the international market. And we've done this for companies who are looking inside to find the next leader, find the next manager, find the next CEO. There's a thought process that we use in order to people to use a methodology to think about how to talk about themselves, how to understand what other people want, and how to get them. Why I started with this introduction is because I'm going to take you through the first piece, which is called connect. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get money from someone to start your company. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get someone to give you a job, or it doesn't matter if you're trying to convince someone to believe in you. The first thing that you always have to do is find a way to build a relationship, to build a connection. All right? The reason that I talk about branding last week is because the best people in the world at this are very successful brands. The one thing about connection is that connection is not logical. It's not being how smart you are, whether it's book smart or street smart. It's not about your intelligence level. Building a connection is an emotional thing. All right. Put it this way. How many of you, if I gave you the money, would want to go buy a new phone right now? Brand new iPhone, XR, XS. How many of you, if you had the money, would go buy one right now? How many want to buy a new computer, new shoes, new clothes? Anyone? No one here likes shopping. Stay home, study all day, I graduate, I move to my parents' house and eat their food. Everyone's shopping. Okay. Let me reverse the question. How many of you bought a new phone or computer within this year or last year? Okay. How many of you needed that new phone or computer? Needed. Would die without that phone or computer? Only one person. Alright. How many people have bought new clothes, shoes, clothing, jewelry, accessories in the last year? Okay, so let's say, if everyone doesn't raise their hand, I'm liars. There's no way. Alright. How many of you people, if you did not buy new shoes or clothes or jewelry this year, would have to come to school naked? No. Okay. Point behind that is in general, we almost never, 90% of the time, don't need to buy new things for any life or death reason. Okay? Companies know this, which means is most people do this. Most people go and they buy with emotion. And then they go back and logically think about why they needed to buy that. Right? Most people will go into a store and go, oh, those shoes are beautiful. I need the new shoes. They will buy the shoes and they'll go home and be like, well, it's because, you know, I'm going to have a job interview, so I need new shoes to look professional. Okay? You didn't go to the store and go, oh, these shoes look very professional. I will buy these shoes. Very professional shoes. I cannot get a job if I don't have shoes. Alright? We buy, we react, we connect using emotion. Alright? If you go to a job interview and you have the greatest resume in the world, the people who will most likely get the resume job is the one that the interviewer likes. Period. Why? Because if you like someone, you tend to remember them. It has nothing to do with their skill set. It has nothing to do with it. So the simple, easiest way to start a job interview, just be friendly. Not like overly nice, like, oh, you're such a smart interviewer, I love you. Not crazy. But just smile. Smile, be friendly. Why? Because people you like, you tend to remember. There is a reverse to that. People you deeply hate, you also remember. But people hating you will not get you a job. Why? Because when you build connection, this is an emotional thing. Alright? We build an emotional connection with people. Same goes for this. When a new company is trying to raise millions of US dollars, and I've helped companies do this, most people would think, I need to have the best business plan, I need to have the best product in the world, an investor will give me money. It's not always true. A lot of really great ideas die because the investor either doesn't understand what the person's talking about or doesn't like the person. Why would I give you millions of dollars if I don't like you? Even I think you can make money. Why? Because if I don't like you, customers may not. Other investors may not. You have to build a connection with someone. But, as we talked about last week, building a connection with someone does not mean you have to build a connection with everyone. I'm going to show you a few examples of how companies build an emotional connection with a specific audience. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look back and figure out how you can start to build a connection with your audience. Or my computer could not cooperate and we should just, stop it. to show you a commercial, and I want you to think about who are they trying to sell this product to. But think more specifically, what age group are they trying to connect to? What is the one message they want them to remember? Alright? So here are the two things. Think very specifically, who is their potential audience? Who is it they're building a connection with? Maybe age, maybe lifestyle. Second thing I want you to think about is, what is the message? What is the one thing they want this audience to remember? They will make it very, very obvious. Alright?
I'm a forensic artist. I worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to 2011.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent feature?
Kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Cute nose.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
So here we are. This is a sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
She looks closed off and fatter. Sadder, too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy.
I should be more grateful of my natural beauty. It impacts the choices and the friends that we make, the jobs we apply for, how we treat our children. It impacts everything. It couldn't be more critical to your happiness.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time as women analyzing and trying to fix the things that aren't quite right. And we should spend more time appreciating the things that we do like.
How many people know this company? Dove. What does Dove sell? Shampoo, lotion, body wash. Okay. In this commercial, did you see any shampoo, lotion, body wash? Okay. What is it Dove wants you to remember? What is their key message? I mean, they wrote it. It's not a trick question. Does anyone remember what the one-line message is? You are more beautiful than you think. Alright? Who is this message for? What kind of woman? I'm not going to call your teacher if you guys say anything strange. Just say it out loud. Huh? What kind of woman? Grown-up women. roughly take a guess. What age do you think? And you can just looking at the commercial, what age do you roughly think they are? Middle age. Okay. Maybe late 30s, 40s, that area. Okay. Why do you think a soap, shampoo, and lotion company would be telling middle-aged women they are more beautiful than they think?
Because the women think they are.
Oh, maybe they're starting to feel aged. What else? Let me ask you another question. Why is this useful as a product brand trying to sell product to create this message? Again, soap, shampoo, skin lotion. We see no soap, shampoo over skin lotion. Okay. Let's turn this question around. If a woman is in her late 30s or 40s, she probably has what? Children or a family. Now, think back to when you lived at home. When you lived at home, who in your house bought soap, shampoo, skin lotion for your family? Your mother. Most likely, a female in the house is probably the person who made this kind of purchase. It's very unlikely your father is going out to be like, Dove skin lotion, yes, I need it. The person who's going to spend this most time. So, if the person most likely to buy all the soap, shampoo, and skin lotion for a family is the mother, the matriarch, the woman in the family, who as a company should you sell to? That person. Who should you connect to? Now, again, they're not just going, buy soap, good for family, children love clean hair. Because Dove as a company wants to build a connection. Anytime someone goes to the store and thinks about buying these things, they want a brand they feel connected to. Someone who understands them. It doesn't have to be understand their, soap and shampoo needs. It's someone who just understands them. Okay? One of my business partners is a 38-year-old woman. She cries almost every time she sees this commercial. Because this actually means something. There's actually a series of commercials like this that connect to someone who makes you feel understood. I noticed none of the women here cry, but you guys paid way more attention than the men. It's starting to build a connection. And in this case, again, as a brand, it is very effective to have a connection with the audience who is most likely going to buy your thing. All right. We'll look at a couple other examples of that. Name the biggest sports apparel, shoe, clothing companies that you can think of. What are the biggest companies you can think of? Nike, Adidas, what else? Puma. Okay. Nike and Adidas, both sports shoes and sportswear companies. Do you think their commercials, their advertising is the same or different? Different. Why? These are both billion-dollar companies that spend millions of US dollars in advertising. Why would Nike and Adidas have different advertising for the same product? I'll show you one. Let's see if you can figure it out.
Shh. Baby Daniel is just waking up. He's gonna win a state championship one day. This guy, He'll run a marathon.
Whoa, you, man.
She is gonna have the best swing in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right. She will totally win the City Open tournament.
Get out.
Oh my God, you get out. All of these athletes are terrible now, but they'll all do big things one day. But this is where everyone reaches their athletic peak. Go Bear, get up! I'm winning! Be cool, Bear. Be cool. 1 year ago, I said she would score every time she had the ball. And guess what?
Now I score every time I get the ball.
I know. When everyone pushes their limits, they reach their maximum potential and they live happily ever after.
I'm done. Hey.
No, you're done. That's a wrap. Oh, come on. That was my tagline. Hey, story's over. What are you doing? Oh, whoa, he's going to kill you. And your mother's going to kill me. I'm going to kill you. So sorry, man. What are you doing?
Then I can do amazing things.
I didn't mean jump off a freaking cliff.
You're lost.
Kid, you can't outsprint a sprinter. You can't either. Zach, what are you doing on top of that van? Aaron, what are you guys doing?
Watch this.
Huh? Whoa! What? I can't take it. Hey, Mom, whoa! That is humiliating on so many levels. Giancarlo! Serena! What kind of training is that?
Excuse me?
So sorry. Nigel, that is so unnecessary. Whoa, Tim, you can't be the star of every sport.
Yes, you can.
Come on!
Let's do this.
No, let's not do this. Run! Everybody is going way too far. Hello? Why is no one listening to me? You too, Marlo. Stop. The race is over, man. Okay, no, kid, please don't do this.
I got this.
This is out of control.
Alright. Nike's famous tagline is what? Just do it. Everyone knows that. Even before I play this commercial, you could probably tell me. What is Nike's philosophy? If they say just do it, what does that mean? Does that mean if you want to eat 5 more cookies, you should just do it? Yeah, eat 5 more cookies. Okay, why is Nike's tagline so effective? What is the #1 reason why people don't exercise?
Lazy.
Huh?
Lazy.
You would think so. Because they don't start. The #1 reason that people don't have good habits is because they don't start the habit. They think through it, like, I should start exercising. Maybe tomorrow. Now tomorrow's really busy. This week, I'm so stressed out. Next week I will start exercising. Okay. So Nike's philosophy is don't think about it. You need to start exercising. You need to play sports. You need to go out there. Just do it. Don't wait. Don't think. To the extreme. Don't worry about if you're going to be the greatest basketball player ever. Start playing today. Just do it. Okay? Now, let's look at their competitor.
I did what I had to do and saw it through
Without exception.
I planned each charted course, each careful step. More.
much more than this. I did it
I did it my way.
Yes, there were times
Same feeling as Nike, different feeling as Nike. Okay. If Nike is talking about being the best athletic performer possible, what is Adidas talking about? The Nike commercial, who do you mostly see? Athletes, performers, people doing sports. For this commercial, what do you see? Some athletes, some performers, some musicians, some rappers, some models, some actresses. Because Adidas' message is not about athleticism. Adidas' message is about fashion. That's weird. Adidas and Nike are supposed to be the largest sports clothing companies in the world. Okay. About 3 years ago, Adidas looked at its numbers and it couldn't compete with Nike. It was losing to Nike in every single way. Adidas was the largest sponsor of soccer, European football, other sports. But Nike had almost every major sports. Basketball, Major League Baseball, American football, for the planet. So Adidas did something that people didn't expect. They said, we're not a sports company, we're a fashion company. And what they found is at least half of the people wearing their clothing were people like rappers, singers, actors, models, fashion designers. And so 3 years ago, they made a hard switch. They stopped competing with Nike for athletes. And they started going, we are a style brand. And Adidas finally started making as much money as Nike did. Because they chose to connect to a different audience. They stopped saying, this audience cares about A. And they went, why do people care about us? What can we do to make people care about our brand? If people think sports apparel, they immediately go Nike, almost every time. So don't compete, connect in a different way. This is what they came up with. For a lot of people, they look at it, it's really weird. But in truth, the numbers show this worked really well. Adidas separated itself from Nike and said, we want our audience to think about us differently. I'll show you one more example of how companies do this.
The only limit in life is the one that you set yourself. The wonder of going beyond. The lines we're willing to cross. The amount we're willing to push ourselves. Simply to inspire the world. The question is, will you be next? Red Bull. It gives you wings.
Okay. How many people have drank Red Bull? Right. How many people have jumped out of an airplane? Okay. Go back to our original question. Who is Red Bull trying to appeal to? What kind of person does Red Bull think drinks its drink? Yeah, extreme sports, right? No one here is sitting at their desk going, yeah, Red Bull, They're, racing on motorcycles, jumping off of cliffs, flying airplanes through canyons. Second question, and a little weird question. What was the music like? These people are doing crazy things, extreme sports. Was the music extreme, crazy sports music?
No, very low.
Why? If the majority of their audience is people who are doing crazy things, this is who at Red Bull, one of Red Bull's greatest advertising campaigns is they went after that. They said, Nike, Adidas have traditional sports. Who needs a sponsor that can use an energy drink? And they said, extreme athletes. Right? So literally any kind of like snowboarding, skateboarding, jumping out of airplanes, skydiving, whatever. Red Bull's name is on all of it. Alright. But why would they use a slower music? When you hear classical or slow music, what do you usually think about? Comfortable. Where would you expect to hear this music? Very eclectic people here. Typically, you're going to hear this music art gallery, museum, somewhere that has a lot of art, somewhere that is more relaxing, somewhere that you might appreciate as beautiful. One thing that Red Bull had sponsored in these extreme sports was a mindset that only extreme crazy people do this. But what they found out is these athletes, these skydivers, snowboarders, think that what they do is very beautiful. And Red Bull tried to show them that if you slow it down, you slow down the video, you can see the beauty in their skill, in the art in what they do. Okay? But let's look at the other side of it. This is a commercial, some of you may be familiar.
朋友，你准备好未？我咱打拼，咱头栽，我咱做事上厉害。我好诶，三年威士忌，好起啊！
Alright. Same as Red Bull, different than Red Bull. Okay, I hope different. People, that's the same. Same thing. Alright. Who do they want to appeal to? What kind of worker? Manual labor, construction worker, blue collar worker. Okay. Red Bull is an energy drink. Wispy is an energy drink. Same kind of product, but different audience. They build a connection with different people. And this is true of any product line. So, if the largest products in the world have to figure out a way to find different audiences, to connect to different people, this means everyone needs to do that. You need to find a way to sell yourself, to talk about yourself, because in the end, companies and grad schools will look at you and go, student. Maybe they'll look at you and go, Taiwan student. You want them to remember more than that. You want them to think about you in a certain way, and especially in a way that connects to them. Okay? These are just two examples of energy drink commercials. For example, there's another Taiwan energy drink that is actually aimed at office workers. Every commercial they do is at office workers. For those of you who like to play video games, the largest video game tournaments, like Twitch TV tournaments for League of Legends, for Dota, for World of Warcraft, they're all sponsored by energy drink companies. Why? Because computer nerds by their company are also pounding energy drink. In Korea, I think it's Red 6. In the US, it's Monster. These companies spend a lot of money on video game tournaments because they know their audience. But each audience is selected. Monster doesn't appeal to extreme sports and video game people, it just says video game people. Red Bull doesn't care about, construction workers and extreme sports people. It just advertises to extreme sports people. Everyone can drink, everyone can use, but they choose an audience to connect to. Okay. I'll give you guys a short break. After the break, we're going to turn it around, and this is what we're going to do for you. I'm going to have you think through what makes you unique. What makes you able to introduce yourself to a company or to a grad school or to anywhere you want to go in a way that sounds different than everyone else here. Okay? So, take 10 minutes and come back. So it's now 11:12. So I'm going to cut you off.